That's right, brethrens. Feast your little beady eyes on this beautiful turbocharger that is assembled. We assembled this the other day, me and Zach. Took me about 36 AutoZone trips, 36 Marshall's Industrial Hardware trips, O'Reilly's trips, Home Depot trips, all of them, right? To get these bolts, because my kit, oops, right? Only came with half of the stuff. That is not Flying Miata's fault though. I bought this kit used. The kit was never opened, but the packages had been like slightly ripped in some places. During shipping, I lost all the important stuff, all the bolts, baby. Now that we've got them, we're gonna assemble all of these lines to the turbo, jack up the motor, get that thing tilted, and assemble this turbo into the car, I hope. Let's see what happens. All right, so first thing we're gonna be doing is assembling these lines with their provided heat hose stuff. So each of these two hoses are each getting one of these heat things. These are going to be very close to the turbo, obviously, so you're not going to want them to, you know, disintegrate essentially. These are 5/8 rubber hoses. These are the water lines, like I said. So we're just going to slip this on over the top, right to the front here, and boom. Want to make it lined up just like that. And that's perfect. So fitting these clamps over the hose is going to be a little hard because this is kind of bulky. So we're going to go ahead and unscrew this clamp, disconnect it, and now you should have much more of an ability to actually feed this through. Take our little Phillips head, screw it down a little bit, make sure it's nice and snug. Now what we've got to do is slide this banjo fitting into the actual hose itself. Okay. There we go. That's looking nice. Okay, just a little banging. You're good. Don't worry about it. Now that we've got this hose all figured out, we're going to slide in a banjo bolt, but we're not going to forget the crush washers. The crush washers are going to go on both sides of the banjo bolt. So one on top, slide this through, and then we're gonna have one on the bottom right there. What this does is just seals the seal essentially. Make sure no water or anything gets out of there, so we're sealed. Now that that's on, we're just gonna thread this into the turbo with the banjo bolt connected. So you can see right where that fitting went, and now we gotta do the other side, and we're good. Also, if you're wondering why I didn't put the actual oil line on it, it's because I have a hard line. This is something that I'm assuming you're gonna have to install after the turbo's installed, because otherwise, there's no way you're getting this in the motor while it's attached, like feeding it into the motor. There's no way. I'll go into the car, attach this after, I hope. And if I can't, then I have to take it out. So that's gonna suck. So this is the oil pressure sensor. So this is what tells you essentially what oil pressure you have. So low, high, ideally not high, not low, normal, but it tells you what oil pressure is. This is the part that's gonna thread into the steel braided line, which I'll get. So here's the steel braided line. This is a male end. This threads in here. I'm honestly not totally sure where this goes yet, but it's going somewhere. And in order to get this on, we need to get this whole entire thing on. And obviously in order to get this in, we need to get this in, which is where the oil pressure sensor used to be. So we're gonna thread it in with this piece right here, and then hopefully crank it on, see what happens. It's very deep, very, very deep under the car. So we'll see what happens. Let's hit it, baby. I gotta show you guys what I'm gonna use to put this in. You guys are gonna love this. Triple extendo, baby. So we got an 18-inch extension. We've got a, I don't know, 5 or 6-inch extension. Then we've got a wobble socket to get this thing in. We're just gonna thread it in with this, and then ideally, we're gonna crank this in with this 15mm wrench. Anyways, let's see how this goes and put you guys into the car with me. Let's get after it. So we're gonna try and thread this in by hand first, which, good luck, dude. But put some thread paste on it real quick. Oh yeah, I actually got it. Oh. I'm gonna crank it so hard right now. Okay, we're gonna crank it. Oh, there's so many wires. Oh my God. I think the hardest thing about installing anything is your neck, dude. I'm gonna start working on my neck so hard. I made the biggest traps you've ever seen in your fucking life. Everyone's gonna be jealous of my traps. All right, I would say that's snug. I'm gonna show you what I did here if I can figure it out. There it is right there. All right, so that's in. You don't understand how really deep that actually is, dude. That's so deep, but it's in. Let me show you how deep it really is. There you go. How's that, dude? That's why you want to eat. Oh, look at this baby over your wings. Look at this big baby. Oh. So we've got the oil pressure sensor, and now we need to put in this little thing to the end of that T that we just put in there. Good job on the pinky there, buddy. Atta boy. So then we can thread in this line right here. Then we can start mounting the turbo, which is gonna be so sick. Dude, I don't think you guys understand. This thing is gonna make max PSI, dude, like ultimate boost. No, not really. It's a stock motor right now, but dude, 225, 230 wheel in this thing. Oops, right? It's gonna be maxed out, baby. The motor being out would be the best thing possible, but guess what? I don't have that option because I'm a fucking baby. I don't like what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it. Because guess what? No other choices. Might be cross-threaded, but guess what? It's not coming out, that's for sure. That bitch is staying in there. And I like it like that. And guess what? Yes, absolutely. It's taking me 18 million turns to get it one rotation. It's all good because I have literally 0.2 centimeters of space. All good. All right, I'm gonna call that good. I think that's good. If it's not good, then guess what? I leak oil pressure and I don't have turbo anymore. So we're about ready to install the turbo, which is absolutely insane, and I'm like so pumped about it. But before we do that, we have to measure out some cuts that we have to make into the frame rail here. So from this fin, we're gonna measure about 1 inch, and then from this fin and out again, we're gonna measure 3 1/4 inches and just cut that with a hacksaw and bang it down, bend it down, because the turbo housing is gonna sit right here, and it's gonna be a little deeper than this rail actually is as it sits. So we need a little bit of clearance in case we do some hard shifting, which you know we will be. Otherwise, it'll hit against the wall here, and it'll just make a bunch of noise and probably ruin the turbo. So we're gonna cut that out and get to mounting this turbo, man. I can't believe it. Oh, this is ridiculous.
You might need an angle grinder.
All right, so we cut into it, which is great. Little sketch, no big deal, we're all good, but now we just bend it down and then we can seat the turbo in there and see what happens. I think we banged it out enough. That was pretty, not really nerve-wracking, but just not, I don't know, that just kind of sucked. Yeah, just really loud. Let's try and just mount the turbo and see how bad the fitment is, and if we need to take off any more hoses, then we will. This is a jack, right? So in order to get this turbo mounted, we actually have to shift the motor slightly. So I just undid the right side motor mount. We're gonna jack the car up a little bit on the oil pan with a piece of wood over the jack so it doesn't damage the oil pan. And that should tilt the motor just a little bit so we have a lot of room to get the turbo in there and mount it. And then as we seat it back down, it should lay completely flat against that divot we just cut out, and we should be golden. But we know how this goes. It's rare that anything happens correctly. So we will see what happens. Let's find out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm sure that there is a way that we're supposed to position these lines, and I'm not gonna do it. I just wanna see if we can get it in there. Oh, dude, that's what it's gonna look like? Oh, I mean, minus all the, oh my gosh. All right, so obviously, all of the lines, these lines are like not in the right places. We're gonna have to thread those down before we mount it next time, but dude, it fits, it's in. And look at all the space we have. I mean, we jacked up the motor a little bit. We've got a ton of space. Oh my gosh, dude, it is in. That is so sick. All right, I'm just gonna lower the jack and see if the turbo hits the sidewall at all. Not even close. I can't believe it fit this well. And we were actually able to crank up the motor quite a bit from releasing that motor mount, as you saw, which was more than I thought it was gonna crank. Even with the motor lowered down into its normal position, this thing has more than enough clearance. Obviously, we need to adjust these hoses right here. They need to go down, so we'll unmount it, put the hoses down. But dude, this right here, that's gonna be our setup, dude. This is what it's gonna look like. This thing's gonna sound insane. It's gonna make like 10 pounds of boost on the stock motor, and then as soon as this thing blows, man, you know I'm building the motor, and it's gonna be absolutely wild. So this is in. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.